Hey everyone, this is Brandon from Toptengamer.com coming at you today with a look at our $1,000 gaming PC build for the month of February. Keep in mind that in March and April we'll be building these builds and putting the SteamOS and Windows on them and doing FPS checks for all the games that you guys like to play. For now, we're just checking in to see what you think about these builds and see if there's anything you'd like to change. Like my last build, I've set this build up so that there's an Intel and AMD version. In other words, there are very few trade-offs between a processor like the FX 8350 and the i5 4670K. Both would be a good option here. Both will give you pretty much the same performance in games, and there are advantages to each. If you render a lot, then you probably want to go with something like the FX 8350 or use a lot of heavily threaded applications, FX 8350. For everyday real-world use, the 4670K has the faster single-threaded processing, uses less energy, and is probably the better overall gaming CPU in terms of FPS. Now, if you take it game by game, that's not necessarily the case, but on the whole, at least in terms of game from the past and games that we have today, right now it's better. Now, moving forward with the Mantle integration and with the integration of additional cores for future games, you might see that flip-flop a little bit. Moving on to the graphics card, this month I noticed a huge drop in the GTX 770, a fantastic graphics card. You're going to get G-Sync on it in the future, and I don't always go NVIDIA, but here it just seems like for the price points I was looking at, the comp GPU, if you wanted to go up from this, would probably be the R9 280X, but you can get a GTX 770 this month for $330. Just a few months ago, you're looking to pay at least $400 for this graphics card. Now in the $330 range, it really makes sense. Now, could you come up with an SLI or Crossfire option that beats it out in terms of performance? Yes, but I think a lot of people would rather just have a single card and then later upgrade from there. It depends on really what you want to do. But again, this month, I'm recommending the EVGA GTX 770. The 2GB version has a $10 mail-in rebate, which makes it $329. If you want the 4GB version, I get that. That's going to cost you an additional $50, $60. Look for that around $389. Okay, because we have two processors, we have two different motherboards for this particular build. If you decide that you'd prefer to go with the Intel option, go with the Gigabyte Z87. This is a relatively new motherboard, so if you'd rather have something that's a little more dated, that has more reviews on it, this may not be for you, but you can get a pretty good deal on it coming out of the gate, and it looks like a pretty good option this month. The model GA Z87-DS3H. I've seen it as low as $99. You'll find it in that $100 to $110 range. Now, for the AM3 Plus motherboard that works with our FX 8350, I like the Asus M5A97R 2.0. Okay, for power supply here, we're looking for something, in my opinion, above 600 watts. Just a good idea in case you want to upgrade in the future. We have the CX750M from Corsair. That's a modular power supply. It's $79.99. I've seen it go as low as $70 in the last 15 days, so if you guys want to wait that out, that's fine. You might be able to save a little money that way. You could also go with the Seasonic model M1211, which is another bronze certified power supply. Both of these are 80 plus. I wouldn't go any lower than that. If you guys can afford to stretch for, you know, like a gold certified power supply, that's usually a good idea in the future. But in this $79.99 range, this gives us the capacity we need and something that's still pretty energy efficient. Okay, for everything else, this build includes the Corsair Carbide 200R. It's on sale this month for about $59.99. Seems like the best case for the money. It's kind of a no-frills PC case. It doesn't have a window, so if you're one of those people that has to have a window, then you can go with something like the NZXT Guardian 921RB, which is in about the same price range. For a little less, the Cooler Master Elite 430. Another good case in this price range, the Half 912 is a good option, but that doesn't have a window either, and I think that, in my opinion, I'd rather have the 200R than the half 912, but maybe some of you differ from that. For hard drive, we're going with the kind of standard hard drive that I use in all of these. It's the Western Digital blue WD10 Easy EX. This is the 1 terabyte version. You could easily upgrade to the 2 terabyte version for very little money. So if you need space, go with that. For CPU cooler, we actually have a CPU cooler built into this build because we're using the K processor. K stands for unlocked, if you didn't know that. And the FX8350 is a great overclocker as well. If you go with that CPU, it'd be a shame to not overclock. So go with something like the Hyper 212 Evo, and then you've got an easy way to overclock without spending a fortune. Fan coolers are often underrated when compared to the newer liquid cooling options that come out, and this is one of the better performing ones from the $30 range to the $70 range. Moving on from there, I've included an Asus DVD-RW drive, optical drive. Again, these days that's completely optional, but that wraps up the build. Okay, so some of you complained in some of the videos that I didn't put a solid state drive in those builds, and I completely understand that. I have a solid state drive in pretty much every build that I've done for myself. I can't stand the wait times. So if you want a solid state drive here, then I'd take that performance, I'd take that money off your graphics card. Will it lower the FPS you get? Yeah, but you know, you can always upgrade your graphics card in the future. You can go a couple years with a $200 graphics card instead of a $330 graphics card. You probably won't notice that much of a difference, but you know, if you go with that solid state drive, that's something that for the life of your PC will make everything you do much faster, especially if you install the OS and your most important programs on there. I recommend the Samsung 840. You go with the 120 gigabyte version, you can get it for about 90 bucks. Okay, that's all I have for today. If you have a question for me, go to facebook.com/Top10Gamer. I do respond to some of the comments below, but that gets a little crazy. You know, sometimes I wake up and there are like 50 comments. I mean, how do you even begin responding to all those? And then, you know, I get some people who get angry. Hey, why didn't you answer this question? Well, I didn't even see it. It was buried by all of the other comments beneath it. For some reason, it didn't show up on the Google chat system. You know, we have to use this Google Plus chat system, which is fine. But anyway, if you really have a question or you really want to get a hold of me, you can do that on facebook.com/Top10Gamer. For more videos like this, more professional gamer interviews, we've got some great stuff coming up for you. Press that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.